Good morning, Long Island. Good morning, everybody. How we doing? How's everybody doing? How's everything this morning?
No sound.
Yes, we do. No, we don't. Again? How did this happen again? Oh, my goodness. Wait, you're telling me?
Oh, no.
I was going to say we have fine
Yeah,
sound.
no, I was looking at the wrong,
wrong
gosh. Monitor.
You're telling me we have no... You know what? Let me run the ding board. You know that?
You run the board.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, my neighbors. I tell you what, it's a good morning to be alive. Unless your name is Whoopi Goldberg.
Yes, unless your name
is Whoopi Goldberg. Because it turns out, like most Hollywood leftists, not a fan of the Jews.
No, apparently not.
Not a fan of which is funny, because it's Hollywood. But what are you going to do?
Yeah, I don't know. This thing's all slippery there. We go, boom.
What are you going to do?
The microphone's all over the place.
Whoopi Goldberg, not really too up on her history. And then she goes on Colbert and somehow makes it 10 times worse.
Yeah, she went on Colbert?
She went on Colbert to explain it. And she was like, you see, when I think of race, I think of something you can see. And it's like, you just said that out loud. At a certain level, Predator got punished.
She's she's insufferable on
obviously
on The View.
Obviously, we start off today. Today is the funeral for Wilbert Mora, the second New York City police officer that was killed last week. So we keep that family in our thoughts and our prayers. This is the fifth one, the fifth cop shot.
It's not good
so far this year. So
you're dealing with
serious problem. And of course, Joe Biden shows up to New York the day after the funeral. Because why would he come now?
No, why would he come for the funeral?
Why would he come for the funeral?
Why would he do that? And Alvin Bragg, the New York City district attorney, is just a disgrace.
It's a disgrace.
The guy needs to be. I don't care if you're Kathy Hochul, if you're Lee Zeldin, if you're Donald Trump, if you're, it doesn't matter who you are. The guy he's just simply not doing his job. It's not even like you're not prosecuting the serious crimes. They're prosecuting no crimes.
No crimes.
It's like, it's not like you're letting the jaywalkers go and, how dare you, the city's unsafe. Like, it's they're not prosecuting anything.
Any crimes.
And now you've got dead cops, and those are on Alvin Bragg's hands. Those are still on Bill de Blasio's hands from the damage he did. It's also on Eric Adams' hands, because he's not doing anything better. And unfortunately, this guy used to be a cop. I was a cop and I did all this and I'm going to make the city safe again. And you got this Alvin Bragg and all these policies in place, and you're just handcuffing these police. They're not able to do what they're going to do to keep the city safe. It's a disaster.
I mean, you know what? And it sucks because on some level, I feel bad for Eric Adams because the guy really
he inherited
he inherited a nightmare.
He's the coach of the Jets.
Yeah, he's
the new coach of the Jets.
Exactly. He inherited a nightmare.
Right.
But you know what? You knew what you were getting, and you can put this district attorney in line. We see this all over the country. We see it in the police departments. We see it in the schools. Yesterday, a report came out from Baltimore. A report came out from Baltimore. What percentage of kids in Baltimore high schools can read at grade level? What do you think, Sean? We didn't talk about this.
What percent of how many?
What percent of Baltimore high school students can read at grade level?
Meaning, so if you're in 12th grade, you could read at that grade level?
Yes.
What percent? Baltimore sounds like it's a place that would have an awful public school system like New York City. So I would say anywhere from, 20, 30%.
Chat, what do you think? This report, how many kids in Baltimore can read at grade level?
At grade level.
At grade level. I'm going to give you guys a second to figure that out.
I'm sitting currently high at 20%, I think.
At 20%.
I think that's high.
Guys, while the chat guesses how many kids what percentage of Baltimore students can read at grade level, make sure you guys sign up for the newsletter, loudmajorityus.com. Hit that follow button. I guess somebody in the chat was watching Tucker this morning, or watching Tucker yesterday.
28%.
Nope.
2%.
2%.
2%. Wow.
2% of kids in Baltimore.
That's Marie Gergenti, a.k.a. one of the new library trustees in Smithtown. She got that number right because she's the best candidate in that race.
Because she knows about reading as a library trustee.
That's for sure.
Chat, it is 2%.
So 2% of the graduating class is 2% of these kids can read at grade level. That's bad.
More than 40% of them.
That's bad.
Cannot read above a second grade level as 17-year-olds.
Oh.
I mean...
But please, tell me more about equity.
Please, tell me more. In what universe can you exist if you can't read? You can't fill out a job application.
Oh.
You can't...
And this is why the country's getting smoked. And I was saying this on the Unfettered Patriot.
This is why stop signs have to be red.
Right.
Because in the inner cities, they wouldn't be able to read the word stop.
Yeah, it's a problem. It's a huge problem. I was saying this, and we've been saying this since April. We got involved almost a year ago in education, and we didn't know it was going to be this big. We thought Smithtown School Board, we'll see what we could do. It's isolated incident. Nope. And so we said this since last year. Even if you're, and I said this what's going to be airing on Saturday, but think about this. So the education battle, I don't want to call it a battle because that's kind of insinuates violence. So we're not going to call it a battle, but it's a fight. It's an ideological war, right? So the education space, when you look at it, the country is teaching, and you see New York State as an example, in its own guidance, in its own framework. It says that the goal of the diversity, equity, and inclusion framework is to prepare students for a lifetime of civic engagement and social justice activism. These are New York State's words. I'm not making it up. It's on their website. Okay? So when you look at that and you see what they're trying to get these kids geared up for, they're not teaching them how to read. They're not teaching them how to write. They're not teaching them how to speak. Okay? Math, and I hate to say it for those mathematicians out there, this little guy right here does almost all the math for you, unfortunately. So all the manual math skills and all that stuff. But listen, they're not learning numbers. They're not learning the proper skills. They're learning equity. They're learning, SEL. They're learning all this stuff that's cozy, cutesy. Everybody's got to be nice to one another. There's 50,000 genders. And what's happening is they're softening up. They're softening up the next generation of America's leaders. That's exactly what's happening with education right now. And just like Kevin said, if you have a school coming out of a major U.S. city, Baltimore, if you've got, these stats that are coming out that 2% of the kids that are graduating can read on grade level or at grade level, that 40% of them aren't reading above a second grade reading level. How on earth are you expecting these kids to get out of high school, go through college, and compete on the world stage for these jobs? They're not going to get these jobs. And so, yes, that's how they're being prepared to stand on the street corner with a sign that says Black Lives Matter that they may not have even written out because they can't read.
More importantly, not only did 2% of Baltimore high school students read at grade level, but 91% of them graduated.
91% of them. So they were all pushed through.
They all got pushed through.
So now they're trying to go, like we just said.
Yes. Who is that? I can't see the name. Bill Ayers, Bernadine Dorn. There we go. Now that's somebody I got to chat with. The Weather Underground.
Weather Underground.
Oh,
that's you just made his day.
Anybody who watches this show regularly knows that I'm a huge fan of those freaks.
Yeah. So
a terrorist. 2 terrorists teach at the University of Chicago.
Education.
Terrorists.
Education
is, and here's what else is important about it. So, Kim Klacik, we all saw Kim Klasik's video of her walking around Baltimore, young black woman talking about how rough things were in Baltimore. She lost 75-25 in her district in Baltimore. She
got hammered.
Kwesi Nfume, former head of the NAACP. So, obviously, Baltimore wants this.
Same with New York City.
Same with New York City.
New York City loves the chaos.
You must want this. You must want, or, as we're going to get into later, because of the redistricting maps.
We got those.
People don't have a choice. They don't have, it's politicians picking their voters. But Kim Klacik, a young black woman, successful. I was with her down in Miami, which we'll talk about later because that was awesome. But she lost to the former head of the NAACP. So clearly these people want, the people in these areas want
to suffer.
They want these policies. You can only what the hell's the line? A horse to water.
You can only lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. You have somebody like this. You have New York City. You got Baltimore. You got Chicago. You got inner cities in San Francisco, Los Angeles, Oakland, all those areas in California. You got Seattle. All those big cities, and they seem to love voting for Democrats. And again, this is the analogy I like to use: is that the fact that they're when you give a dog a treat. Right? You give them a treat, they sit down, they do a trick, they roll over, they do whatever it is, they give them a treat. But you can't live on those. And the problem is government keeps giving people treats. They keep giving a stimulus check here, a new program there. We're going to raise the minimum wage. It's devaluing the currency. Nobody cares about that. All right, but what's happening is the government is making you do a trick, and the trick that they're making you do in the inner cities is voting for Democrats. That's the trick. You keep voting for Democrats, we're going to keep giving you stuff, right? You tell your dog, right? You keep sitting, you keep rolling over, you keep being cute. I'm going to give you kibbles and bits or whatever, milk pone. Those taste nasty, by the way. Have you ever eaten one of those before? I did one on a dare.
No.
I thought, yeah, you never.
No,
had one
I
of those?
haven't eaten a milk bone.
So I thought maybe milk bones and milk duds, maybe the same type of, maybe, dogs like it. Dogs seem to like bacon, so maybe it's the same.
Dogs also lick their own ass.
Well,
They lick each other. Well,
locals.
locals. Guys, if you want to see more premium content like that, head on over to loudmajority.locals.com so you can hear the end of that sentence because the chat's starting to pick up on what just happened. Please get the camera off of me now. Good morning, Steve.
Okay. Government hands you a treat, and you make you vote for Democrats so that the dogs lick each other.
No one in Baltimore can read.
Let's go.
The Wire was a great show.
So,
guys, hit that follow button. If you're checking it out on YouTube, hit the like button.
Wow.
Hit subscribe. Share this out with your friends.
Wow.
Head on over to loudmajorityus.com. I'm really just trying to get off this topic right now because
Jamie made a great video.
Because I owe Jamie.
Jamie made a great video. Okay, let's move it. Yes.
Topic.
Okay, good.
Holy crap,
folks. Okay.
Thank God we are not on the radio.
The great Jamie Silvestri, as you know, she's been killing it here. She works very hard with us. And I can't. What do you want me to do? Kevin's in bed. He's just okay. So Jamie Silvestri has been walking around. We were at the rallies and what you've seen her. She's walking around with the GoPro and getting all sorts of really cool content. So last night on, I kid you not, 25 seconds of video, but a nice little recap of the Albany rally on Monday. You saw the Albany rally on Monday, 1 degree. It was 1 degree in Albany. We were out there with Lee Zeldin. Mario Matera came out. Alexis White came out. I think Senator Ort was there. There was a few others who came out. Michael Durso was out there as well. So a lot of people came out.
Long Island was repping hard up there.
Long Island was repping hard in Albany. And it's great because, those upstaters are like, oh, you're downstairs, a bunch of liberals. But I got a video to show you.
I feel bad for Senator White.
Oh, man.
Wearing heels in the snow.
Oh, man.
I don't know how she has feet left. I feel terrible for her.
Cut them right off. They were going to have to get...
That was rough. I mean, I was wearing 3 pairs of socks, and I still couldn't feel my feet. So
I'm going to put this video on for you because it's really, really cool. So check this out. This is... Jamie put the video together. We ran the audio last night. It was great, so here it is. And so that was
great.
That was great. I don't know if you guys heard the music. It may not have come through, but that was it. That was a little montage there. If you weren't there, it was a really nice day.
We just got some new programs here, so we're testing some things out. So if you guys didn't hear that sound, let us know, and we'll fix that for next time.
Yeah, it did play. So okay. Barry said it played.
Thank you, Barry.
Thank you, Barry. I didn't hear it in my headphones, but I saw the levels on the screen, so that's good. Very nice. So there's dramatic music, and it was crazy. It's an adventure, but we're putting it together.
Until we try out that green screen in about 20 minutes.
So obviously, like we said, education is one of the biggest battles in the state right now, and we're excited to be a part of that. Now, obviously, we know that the stay order was extended until March 2nd. The stay order was extended until March 2nd, but the mask mandate in schools is still set to expire on the 21st of February. So I want to stress something to everybody. And that is push your school districts to amend, when you go to your school boards, you have to ask your school boards to amend your school district's reopening plans, okay? You have to do it because if the mask mandate expires on the 21st and it's not extended, the stay does not extend the mandate. I want to clear two things up, okay? The stay does not extend the mandate. The stay, what it does is it pauses the official enforcement of the judgment from Judge Rademacher that the mandate was enacted unconstitutionally. All right, so March 2nd or March 1st, I want you to put that off to the side. That date right now for this part of the conversation does not matter. Okay, off to the next thing is on February 21st, like Massapequa had already written and several other school districts. When that education portion of the mask mandate is set to expire on February 21st, those districts have amended their plans and have made it clear that they will be giving the option of students to wear masks on February 21st. Okay, that's 19 days from now. What you need to do in each of your districts is push your school boards to amend their 2022 reopening plan. In other words, it cannot say in the reopening plan that there's going to be a mask mandate, okay, or that they're going to be requiring masks, because then if they go against, so to speak, their reopening plan, the state can come at them and say, well, you submitted this plan and now you're not honoring it and we're going to withhold funding. Again, I don't think the state's going to withhold funding in this case because it's an election year, but you have to push your boards to do it, because if you want to beat that March 1st stay, if you want to get something done before that March 1st ruling and that date, you have to get your districts to amend their reopening plans coming up. February meetings are starting. Get in front of them and say, look, there's been all this confusion. And especially if you're one of your districts, if you're one of those districts who signed on to the amicus brief, and congratulations to West Babylon who did it unanimously. I'm proud of you guys. Start working towards getting those reopening plans amended. That's a very big deal. So remember to do that. Push your school boards to do that going forward so that if March 21st comes and the mandate has not been extended, you will have optional masks in your schools regardless of what happens with the stay. It's very important.
Unless Magic Johnson comes to your school and then like Gavin Newsom and Eric Garcetti, you can just take the mask off.
That's true.
Like
yeah, I mean,
like we saw at the Rams game.
Unbelievable.
I mean, at a certain point.
How many?
What? I don't know. Like, how many times can we show the hypocrisy? I mean, you want to go eat your $87 Caesar salad at the French Laundry, you go right ahead. But, like, you took the picture without the mask on.
Yeah.
You knew it was going somewhere. No one takes a picture without it planning on going somewhere.
Right.
So they knew
it was going to wind up, especially when you're with Magic Johnson.
You're with Magic Johnson.
What do you think? You're taking a selfie and not going to show everybody who you're with?
And by the way, if we want to talk about comorbidities.
Yeah. Maybe that's a big one. Maybe the autoimmune disease.
I'm old, kind of fat.
Human immunodeficiency virus.
Turns out there is a cure for AIDS. It's called money.
And COVID, apparently. Because apparently when you have
going
COVID...
to Hofstra.
Yeah.
Going to Hofstra cures everything. And that's actually from the scientists.
Yes. So
that is settled science. If you went to Hofstra University, you are immune from all diseases.
That is settled science.
That's why Sean's so healthy.
Now let me ask you this. Maybe do you think that Garcetti and Magic Johnson and all these folks that have been caught without a mask on, maybe they're just listening to the science after all? Maybe they read the Johns Hopkins study. What a segue.
Johns Hopkins.
What a segue.
That was good.
That was come on. Boom. That was like a little archery. Pew. I just said that at the camera. They're probably scared.
Yeah.
The domestic Cupid over here.
See, you would use a bow and arrow.
Yeah.
Man in tights.
Yeah, no. Bow and arrow. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Listen, check it out. So lockdowns only reduced COVID-19 mortality by 0.2%. Quote, lockdowns should be rejected out of hand. I guess the people at Johns Hopkins are a bunch of crazy fringe conspiracy theorists, right?
Oh.
Trust the experts, folks.
Wait.
How many years have we been saying it? 2 years?
2. So what you're telling me is that everything that's been happening is total crap.
Mm-hmm.
Is just. Oh wait. You mean when Laura Curran? You mean when Laura Curran told us that you could play tennis,
right?
But you couldn't play doubles tennis? That she was just making that up as she went off.
You okay, Cenk?
Yo, like,
you okay, Cenk?
I don't know.
He's just making noises.
I'm blown away at this point. I'm blown away. There's nothing like being proven right.
All I can say is, too.
Thank God I didn't waste $250,000 going to med school.
My favorite.
All I did was go outside.
My favorite COVID rule was the Cuomo era when it became unacceptable to drink beer without food.
Yes.
You could have root beer without food. The COVID knew not to come near you. But if you had beer without food.
Wings are not food.
And wings didn't count. They didn't count. If Jesse Papa's watching, chicken wings are still not soup, by the way. But wings didn't count, but soup counted. All right. So the rules, they just started making this crap up. If you're drinking beer, you can't have wings. You have to have soup or something else. Wings didn't count as food.
My favorite was
The COVID zone is up here, not down here. So when you're at the bar, but my best was if your ass was in the bar stool, you were safe, even if the stool was at the same height as where you were standing.
Cut to the double.
It's unbelievable.
Cut to the double. Because I'm going to show you guys the level of insanity that we were dealing with, okay? Right now, I'm going to show you a little something.
Oh, wow.
Safe. Killing every person I've ever met in my entire life.
Right.
Killing grandma. The children are dead. Totally safe.
Totally safe.
Killing everyone I've ever met. And by the way, did anyone notice that the 6 feet sounded a little odd?
Yeah.
6 feet sound, why 6 feet? Why not 5 feet? Why not 10 feet? I'll tell you why. Because 6 feet can be rounded into meters. Because all the signs in Europe would have looked pretty stupid if it told everybody to stay 1.7 meters apart.
Yes, that's a good point.
Oh,
now all of a sudden it makes some sense.
Makes a little bit of 6 feet. Why not 5?
So now we read about Johns Hopkins. We're going to go into this article because this
Johns
is freaking great. Because it's not a slapstick study here.
No.
Johns Hopkins is highly respected. I mean, seriously. So lockdowns during the first COVID-19
Great
wave
lacrosse team.
in the spring of 2020 only reduced COVID-19 mortality by 0.2%, not 20%, not 2%, 0.2% in the U.S. and Europe, according to a Johns Hopkins University meta-analysis of several studies. Quote, while this meta-analysis concludes that lockdowns have had little to no, you hear that, you fact checkers? While this meta-analysis concludes that lockdowns have had little to no public health effects, they have imposed enormous economic and social costs where they have been adopted, the researchers wrote. I mean, I don't want to have to shout.
I wish you guys could see the levels on the board when he does that.
Oh, it was
peaked.
It was a red wave.
It was a red wave.
It was a red wave. In consequence, lockdown policies are ill-founded. Oh, gosh. Somebody get this guy and jab him with the vaccine and keep him quiet. You can't call the lockdowns ill-founded? Are you kidding me?
Call the lockdown they're ill-founded.
How dare.
Wait, you mean the consultants at McKinsey don't know anything about science?
No. Oh, man.
You mean Pete Buttigieg doesn't know what he's doing?
My favorite thing with Trump when he did Buttigieg, the boot, edge. When nobody knows how to say his name. Boot, edge. They say it's a boot. Then another edge and an edge.
Oh, man.
Oh,
and it's so funny because
Alfred E. Newman.
No, but yeah, that's
Happy Groundhog's Day.
That's really happy Groundhog Day, everybody. By the way, just real quick about Groundhog Day.
Oh, man.
I was watching it before. That is the weirdest thing I've ever seen.
One of the groundhogs died.
Yeah, because Bill de Blasio dropped him.
No, it wasn't the one from New York. It was a different one.
He killed Staten Island Steve or whatever the hell his name is.
Punches.
No, the one on Staten Island he killed.
Staten Island Steve.
That's his name. So,
Punxsutawney Phil.
No, that's the main one.
That's like America's Groundhog.
That's like Pennsylvania. They do that in Pennsylvania. That's the real one.
He bit somebody last year.
Punxsutawney Phil.
And de Blasio got bit once
too,
I
think his name. Go to the chat. What's the groundhog that Bill de Blasio killed?
Bill de Blasio really killed a groundhog?
He dropped it on its head.
I'm gonna have to look. He dropped the groundhog on his head.
You've never seen that?
No, I gotta look this up. De Blasio.
Yeah, Bill de Blasio dropped. It was like his first year in office.
De Blasio groundhog. Here we go.
Yeah. Bill de Blasio dropped the groundhog.
Staten Island Chuck.
Staten Island Chuck.
When Groundhog Day flashback when Bill de Blasio fumbled Staten Island.
Yeah, man. He handed him the ground. Well, he was fat then.
Oh,
wow.
What, de Blasio?
Yeah, I guess he was
smoking
a little less weed then.
Crackhead on the loose last seen smoke. On February 2nd, 2014, when the groundhog flinched as the handler placed Chuck in former Mayor Bill de Blasio's arms, it fell to the ground and died several days. That's not funny. Oh, Bill de Blasio sucks.
Look.
I hate it. He canceled Groundhog Day.
Look, is it funny that the groundhog died?
No.
No. Is it funny that Bill de Blasio dropped the groundhog and killed it? Yes.
I mean, I think it's funny that Bill de Blasio was so inept he couldn't even hold a groundhog. You literally have to do this.
Well, that's because he was fresh off a wake and bake.
Oh yeah, with his daughter probably. Yeah. Whatever she was smoking. My gosh.
I'm just gonna say it, man. That is one ugly.
That's an
ugly
woman.
I mean, Jesus, the sun looks normal.
Ugly woman. walking down the street,
taking a crap on the subway.
Oh, man. So let's go back to Johns Hopkins because I'm excited about the experts, and that's what I named the show, Trust the Experts, in quotes. Figured that would get somebody's attention. The researchers, Johns Hopkins University, economics professor Steve Hank, it might be Hanky, but I want to say Hank Lund, University economics professor Lars Jonung, and special advisor at Copenhagen Center for Political Studies, Jonas Irby.
That's 3 different countries, everybody.
That's 3 countries. Analyze the effects of lockdown measures such as school shutdowns, business closures, and mask mandates on COVID-19 deaths. Quote, we find little to no evidence that mandated lockdowns in Europe and in the United States had a noticeable effect on COVID-19 mortality rates. The researchers also examined shelter-in-place orders, finding that they reduced COVID-19 mortality by 2.9%. That's a nice number. Studies that looked at only shelter-in-place orders found they reduced COVID-19 mortality by 5%, but studies that looked at shelter-in-place orders along with other lockdown measures found that shelter-in-place orders actually increased COVID-19 mortality by 2.8. So once again, studies that looked at shelter-in-place orders along with other lockdown measures found that shelter-in-place orders actually increased COVID-19 mortality by 2.8%. This is also not accounting for the death that took place from when you were not allowed to have elective surgeries, you weren't getting cancer treatments, you weren't doing all other preventative care.
You were home snorting fentanyl and drinking tequila.
You were putting your liver through hell because
but hey, at least
the liquor store was open, but the gym was closed, and so that was the priority during COVID, was to just get bombed every day, which was fun for a couple days.
Yeah,
I remember drinking these Montauk seltzers; they were really good. But I was like, okay, 2 days of this, enough. You know what I mean? Like, I can't keep doing that.
2 years of drinking nonstop,
you're not going to be in a good position.
I think Kiefer Sutherland calls that life.
Kiefer Jack Bauer. Damn it, Chloe! That's a shout out to Nick Giordano. Had an article published in the Post.
Nick Giordano.
Professor Nick Giordano. And the reason why I thought of that when Jack Bauer came up is because his son loves 24.
America's Professor,
Long Island's own Nicholas Giordano. You've seen him on Tucker Carlson.
The kids that go to Suffolk, tell them to take the class.
Tell them to take the class with Professor Nick
and
Giordano.
Just make sure you know how to take the citizenship test.
And Nick Giordano's apparently going to CPAC again this year, so we will see him down there. Excited because I love
Guys,
him.
If you haven't gotten your CPAC tickets yet, get them now. You're not going to want to miss it. We've got some giant news. Yeah. Giant news that we're not releasing just yet. Yeah. But for CPAC, things are going to be happening down there. It's going to be a big step for us, and we want all of you guys to be there also. And, if nothing else, it's Orlando at the end of February, so it's not going to be too hot. It's still going to brick here, so get out of that. And by the way, speaking of cold.
The snow.
When I was in Miami,
yes,
I was told that Sean would be building an igloo.
I built an ice hole.
I'm going to post a picture of this igloo.
Yeah.
After the show.
It's a nice igloo.
All you did was carve a hole.
I did.
In a pile. That's not an igloo.
It's an igloo.
An igloo has blocks.
Well, we couldn't do blocks. You see the mound?
Get a shovel.
I didn't have one. I had a little tiny metal one. Yeah. It's a nice igloo. We built a slide, put a flag up there. I dug it out like a husky.
I do like the flag. That's
the flag is beautiful.
Which is good, because that's, judging by that mound of snow,
it's
that
never
flag
going anywhere.
is going to be there
forever.
until Jesus comes back.
Especially when we get more snow in 2 weeks. There's more storms coming. It's going to be great. Did you like the Trump weather forecast, too? People seem to like that. That was good. We're going to get so much snow. Enough snow to bury Rosie O'Donnell. What do you think about Groundhog's Day? So, listen. John's up. I'm all over the place. Ping pong. Bing bong. Not cool. Pause. Let me just take a drink of water. I don't like when I do that.
Bing bong.
Jinx, you owe me a soda. Remember that game? Jinx, you owe me a soda?
Yeah.
I don't drink soda, though. Keto life.
Well, I'm from Linden Earth. When we used to jinx somebody, we punched them.
In the face.
Yeah.
The researchers concluded that limiting gatherings may have actually increased COVID-19 mortality. I thought we were holding super spreader rallies in the middle of 2020. Apparently, limiting gatherings may have increased COVID-19 mortality, according to Johns Hopkins.
Because everyone just feigned that they were doing it and just had their families over the house.
Yeah.
Instead, we went outside.
And we were having a great time.
We were breathing in the air that is circulating. When you're sitting at home and the air is stagnant, and it's just, that's why planes are not super spreaders, because they have HIPAA filters.
And here's another, yes.
That's why it doesn't, that's why you don't come off the plane smelling as much like ass as you probably should.
Or that lady with the onions.
You're sitting in a tin can filled with other people's farts.
Oh, that's what George Carlin said, too. Your seat back turns into a flotation device. He goes, Oh, that's exactly what I need. To be bobbing in the North Atlantic for a couple of days, clinging to a pillow full of beer farts. George Carlin, the all-time great, my favorite. Shelter-in-place orders may isolate an infected person at home with his or her family where he or she, them, they, that's not what it says, I'm sorry, risks infecting family members with a higher viral load causing more severe illness, the researchers wrote. But often lockdowns have limited people's access to safe outdoor places such as beaches, parks, and zoos, or included outdoor mask mandates or strict outdoor gathering restrictions, pushing people to meet at less safe indoor places. The researchers also examined studies that focused on specific lockdown measures and found that the only intervention that reduced COVID-19 mortality was the closure of non-essential businesses, which reduced mortality by 10.6%, but this effect was likely driven by the closure of bars. I don't think it's about the hanging out of the, but it's the same principle. Right.
You're inside.
Right.
If they had just like Mary Carroll's in Babylon or Lily Flanagan's in Babylon.
Yeah.
There's no reason why you couldn't just keep the outdoor part open.
There's no reason.
No reason.
No, the outside, we found out that transmission outside is next to zero.
Next to zero.
A study from the National Commission on COVID-19 and Criminal Justice last year found that domestic violence incidents increased 8.1% after lockdown orders were issued. Shocking.
Wow.
They're trapping people in the house. And Wilkow said the same thing. He was like, there's going to be two things that come from the COVID-19 pandemic. It's going to be a lot more babies because there's going to be a corona boom, he called it, the horizontal mambo that took place during the lockdown, and a lot more divorces because you're trapping people together. They can't get a break from one another, and so they want to get the hell out. And it's a shame that that's the case. 97% of U.S. teachers said that their students have experienced learning loss during the coronavirus pandemic, according to a Horace Mann survey last year. That's a new term. Learning loss. We're starting to hear that come out, come back into the picture.
About 97% of U.S. teachers said that their students have experienced learning loss. The other 3% are lying.
Right, exactly. The unemployment rate peaked nationwide at 14.8 in April 2020, but declined to 3.9% in December, which is still slightly higher than the 3.5% it was before February 2020.
So just out of curiosity, if 2% of kids in Baltimore can read at grade level, and 97% have experienced learning loss.
Right.
What? Can someone do that math?
That's not
so
good.
Does that mean negative 20 kids in Baltimore can read?
It sounds like it. It sounds like only the teachers can read. It's not good. Such a standard benefit cost calculation leads to a strong conclusion. Lockdowns should be rejected out of hand as a pandemic policy instrument. Now, this is important. This is an important determination and an important conclusion. Lockdowns should be avoided. Lockdowns should be rejected. This Johns Hopkins study is telling you that the next time we encounter something like this, because there will be another coronavirus, there will be another variant of COVID that goes around, there will be another respiratory virus that starts spreading, the flu will come back, something is bound to happen again. The next time we have to deal with it, we don't do the lockdowns. That's the point. The next time we have to deal with these problems, we don't shut down society. Instead, right? So, what do we do? What do we do the next time that this happens? Do we only lock down the bars? Do we only lock down the massive stores? Or do we do what we were supposed to do from the beginning and quarantine the vulnerable, if you're afraid of the virus, stay home, and let the rest of society deal with it instead of eroding our rights? One thing that we kept saying from the very beginning, the minute, and this is what's happening now, it's on the flip side. The minute this started happening, day one of 15 days to slow the spread, there were a lot of people who were saying, whoa, this is a little much. How are we going to get these rights back? When is government going to give these powers back? The temporary emergency powers are the most indefinitely permanent things ever. Temporarily permanent. That's what was going on.
That's the Milton Friedman line. There's nothing more permanent than a temporary government program.
Exactly. And so that's what you saw happen. And so we were clinging to our rights then, and people called us conspiracy theorists. You're crazy. You're out of your mind. Now you look at it and you see what's going on. The Democrats are clinging to their control. The Democrats are clinging to the lockdown because they know that if they give up the mask mandate, they give up the vaccine mandate, if they give up the distancing requirements and the capacity mandates and all that, they're never going to be allowed to do this again, and they don't want to lose it. They're clinging to it right now. they're clinging to it for dear life. And if they lose the lockdowns now, if they lose the mask mandates now, if they lose that precedent that they set about emergency powers now, they won't be able to pass new voting laws. They won't be able to unconstitutionally mandate things. They will lose those powers. And then when we take control of these bodies of Congress at the state level, at the local level, at the federal level, and we pass legislation that says, right, that we will never let this happen again, that's when the Democrat Party essentially dies. The radicals no longer have power, and we will be able at that point to really start to work this country back and put power back in the hands of the people.
And it's also the fact that they have tied themselves to COVID. If they end them, if they come out and end these mandates now, it's going to lead to the essential question: what changed?
Right.
Nothing changed, which means that we didn't need to do this all along, which means they were wrong. And if there's one thing that politicians and power-hungry savages in Albany and Sacramento and D.C. can't do, it's ever admit they were wrong. Never admit that they were wrong.
Never.
And that's the big issue, is that they have to. It's a sunk cost fallacy. They have to keep this up because they have to keep this up.
Yeah, because once they move away from it, they're never going to be able to come back to it, because there's enough people have woken up, enough people have said never again to this particular type of scenario that they won't let it happen again. They're going to vote people in who will run on. You'll see. People are going to start running on, Republicans in general are going to start running on the idea of, if I run, if I'm in, Lee Zeldin said it in Albany, day one, when he's elected governor, day one, he's ending every COVID mandate in the state.
It's over.
Okay? You're going to see Republicans running on that platform all over the place, because that's all it's going to take. That's all people want. There are Democrats. That's all they want. They just want the choice. They're tired of this. 2 years.
They want their lives back.
They want their lives back.
And I don't blame them.
And I'm sorry, but this whole idea, and the first time Andrew Cuomo used the phrase, and I think he was the first person to use this phrase, new normal, I crapped myself like Joe Biden in front of the Pope, because I said, I don't like that. What do you mean new normal? Wearing masks forever?
I like
kids in school in masks forever?
I like the old normal.
No, just normal. Normal. Right? So it's just that simple. Hey, 840. Let's do the Vanna White thing again.
840. You know what? Why don't... Yeah, so guys, head on over to loudmajorityus.com. Sign up for the newsletter. We've got some new stuff in the shop. Check that out.
There's some other stuff coming, too.
There's some new stuff coming.
Yup.
Pick up your special CPAC attire that we're coming out with a T-shirt just for President Trump for CPAC. That's going to be a good one. Make sure you guys hit that follow button on Facebook, Instagram at Loud Majority, Getter. What the hell's the Getter? The Loud Majority. If you're on YouTube, hit that like button, subscribe, share this out with your friends. It's the best way to beat the algorithm. As my friend James O'Keefe likes to say, distribution by proxy. So make sure, if you guys think you're following on Facebook, you're probably not. I can see in the chat who isn't. So make sure you guys head on over, follow loudmajorityus.com. It's right above my head, which is great.
LoudMajorityUS.com. What a beautiful website! It's a fantastic thing.
And look, if you're not from Long Island, we now have hoodies like this with the USA on it for all of our fans across the country who tune in. I know there's someone in the chat I think they're from Burbank, California. I don't know what the hell they're doing awake this early.
Yes.
But yeah, check out the new stuff. We got some Let's Go Brandon flags. Those are going to be fun. Hang those up to piss off your neighbors.
Lots of fun.
Yep, it's going to be a good time. Sean, take it away.
One more thing before we jump into these maps, and I'm going to go through just a quick. It's an article on Just Facts Daily, and we're going to talk about the efficacy of masks. Okay, we're going to talk about the efficacy of masks, and coming to grip with face masks. It's the experts again, and I'm just going to go to this. Dr. Vinay Prasad, an associate professor of epidemiology and biostatistics at the University of California, San Francisco, has written an article that examines the scientific evidence for masking children and concludes that, 1, most of the masks worn by most kids for most of the pandemic, let's do that again, most of the masks worn by most of the kids for most of the pandemic have likely done nothing. You hear that, fact checkers? YouTube, Google, we're going to get suspended. We're going to get hit for this. I got the experts here. This is an experts. These are real doctors writing real articles. Johns Hopkins, Dr. Vinay Prasad, an associate professor of epidemiology and biostatistics at the University of California, San Francisco. Okay, you want another expert? Trust the experts. No, it's trust their experts. How about we listen to all the experts in the in the field? That's science. That's how you test a hypothesis. 50 peer-reviewed science journals. That's what this article's got. It's going to be in the show notes, loudmajorityus.com. Most of the masks worn by most of the kids for most of the pandemic have likely done nothing to change the velocity or trajectory of the virus. 2, there are downsides to face coverings for pupils and students, including detrimental impacts on communication in the classroom. 3, masking is now little more than an appealing delusion. You hear that? An appealing delusion. It makes you feel safe, but it's doing nothing. 4, decisions to mask school children are, quote, ignorant, cruel, and fearful, and cowardly. That's coming from Dr. Vinay Prasad, an associate professor of epidemiology and biostatistics at the University of California, San Francisco. There's another one. Dr. Chatteroy, or it might be pronounced Wah, I'm not sure, who specializes in airborne infectious diseases. Seems relevant. and is a professor of microbiology and immunology at Tulane University School of Medicine, has told the Washington Examiner that, quote, cloth and surgical masks do absolutely nothing for protection from ambient virus. All this song and dance of wearing, this is two, all this song and dance of wearing cloth masks with some presumption that you're being protected from ambient virus is completely and positively 100% counter to how masks and respirators work. Here's another one, and the final part of this article is The Atlantic. Obviously, we know, has published an analysis of school masking policies by 3 medical scholars, including Dr. Marjorie Smelkinson, a specialist in infectious diseases at the National Institutes of Health. If you don't know, it's the NIH. Fauci's in charge of that. Fauci's all over that. These are the experts. The Atlantic, quote, we reviewed a variety of studies, some conducted by the CDC itself, some cited by the CDC as evidence of masking effectiveness in a school setting, and others touted by media to the same end, to try to find evidence that would justify the CDC's no end in sight mask guidance for the very low risk pediatric population, particularly post-vaccination. We came up empty-handed. There is no data that says that these masks work. The, quote, overall takeaway from these studies is that schools with mask mandates have lower COVID-19 transmission rates than schools without mask mandates, is not justified by the data that have been gathered. Another one, as with our existing school mask policies, no real-world data indicate that these masks, N95 or cloth, decrease transmission in school settings. Data that matter greatly, as these masks require a very tight fit to function effectively, and that may not be possible for many kids. Quote, another one, over the past 21 months, slowly and with much resistance, the layers of mythology around COVID-19 mitigation in schools have been peeled away, each time without producing the much ballyhooed increases in COVID-19, right? You hear, if you take away the shields, cases are going to go up. If you take away the mask, cases are going to go up. If you take away the distancing, cases are going to go up, right? Schools did not become hotspots when they reopened, nor when they reduced physical distancing, nor when they eliminated deep cleaning protocols. These layers were peeled away because the evidence supporting them was weak, and they all had substantial downsides for children's education and health. COVID-19 hospitalizations have remained extremely low among children, on par with pediatric flu. And the last one, imposing on millions of children in an intervention that provides little discernible benefit on the grounds that we have not yet gathered solid evidence of its negative effects, violates the most basic tenet of medicine: first, do no harm. You want to draw a conclusion from this here? You want to look at this in the show notes? The experts, what they say: masks do nothing.
And this isn't
nothing.
just us saying it.
No.
According to this article, even Leanna Wen.
Yes.
CNN's own medical expert, the professional baby killer.
Yes, the one who was the first, she was
the president and CEO of Planned Parenthood. The baby killer.
She called masks, quote, Leanna Wen, cloth masks are little more than facial decorations. And, quote, this is what scientists and public health officials have been saying for months. Many months, in fact. Yet she fails to tell the entire truth and instructs people to wear N95 masks without conveying their harms, the fact that gold standard studies have only found inconsistent benefits from N95s in healthcare settings.
So basically, unless you're wearing a painter's mask, like people who spackle for a living.
Yep.
It's doing nothing.
Yep, and that's it. Fox News has published an article about how YouTube suspended Rand Paul for questioning the effectiveness of cloth masks, and that the CDC is edging closer to Paul's view. The article then links to Just Facts research on masks, that's this outlet, Just Facts, to document the fact that, quote, several studies have shown cloth masks are, quote, not effective in stopping the spread of viruses like the coronavirus. So, long story short, and this is not necessarily a reason to get mad at your school boards, because again, this idea of masking in schools again was ruled down not because the masks weren't effective, but because the process was so abhorrent and atrocious and egregious. You know, you look at it again on two fronts: the laws and the mandates in the state of New York were passed unconstitutionally, and the mask doesn't work. The experts are coming out and saying it. This can't last long. The dam is breaking. Just keep pushing, and we will get there. We're so close.
Now, just a quick transition, guys.
Yes.
8:47. We got 13 minutes left of the show. There's something we got to talk about. We got to talk about the redistricting. We have to talk about the new maps. Now, there's been a lot of talk about gerrymandering. And for people who don't know what gerrymandering is, that's when politicians pick their voters rather than people picking their politicians.
Correct.
So every district map, your 1st congressional district, your 87th assembly district, whatever it is, they have to have the proportional number of voters, and they must connect. They must connect in some way. They can connect over water, but they must connect in some way. Now, there's been stories all over the place. Ben Shapiro talked about it. News 12 talked about it today, about what they're doing in New York. Now, every 10 years, they reappropriate congressional districts based on population. So because of the mass exodus of places like California, Illinois, and New York to places like Tennessee, Texas, and Florida, Texas, Tennessee, and Florida gained the congressional seats. So they had a little bit more power. We lost seats here in New York. We lost a seat here in New York because everyone's leaving. So they have to redraw the maps to make everything work again.
Right.
So we need to talk about the 3rd congressional district. The 3rd congressional district, because obviously our friend George Santos, he's running there.
Yes,
We're gonna pull up this map, and I want to show you how willing the Democrats are to cheat. They're going to tell you that we're cheating, that we're suppressing the vote, that we're doing all this. I'm going to show you how ridiculous this district map is. Right now, as it currently stands, District 3 runs on the north shore of Long Island from like Whitestone to like Ronkonkoma-ish.
Yep.
Right over there, and then kind of the LIE in the northern state, if you can imagine that. Let me, Sean, cut to you real quick.
Yep. Is your mic on?
Nope.
So turn that bad boy on. I got the mic on here. We're going to cut into we try and use the green screen for the first time. Let that light up blue and keep it. And then just give me, I think I hear you. You might want to put that, up on your collar there. Just clip that in there right up against your neck. Right there. That'll get the best noise. There you go. Hold on. Go again.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you. You might want to tuck that in a little bit more for you. And let me turn up the gain there. And let me switch over to the green screen. You're going to see Kevin in front of New York 3. There he is. How beautiful. I'm sorry if it's going to be flickering a bit.
I got to be on the other side.
You got to be on the other side.
Here's what they did, okay?
It's coming in very, very, you got it.
I'm just going to hold it.
Yeah, hold it.
So here's what they did. What they decided to do was, in order, because you see, we all know that George Santos won last time. He lost on the mail-ins. He was down in D.C., and they're terrified of this. So what they did was...
Careful, you're breathing hard into that mic.
They decided to make it as difficult for him as humanly possible. So they took his district, which ended around here in Whitestone, Queens, and they added all of this. It now goes all the way up to Rye Playland into Westchester. There are 5 counties in one district. 5 counties in one district. Moreover, they took a large part of the Republican area of Smithtown right over here, and they moved it out of the district in order to see, because up here in Rye, over my right shoulder, that's all Democrat. So what they did was they took an evenly split purple district, and they made it into a D+11 district. That means the Democrats have an 11-point advantage off the bat without doing anything. They do this all over the state. They did, by taking, not to mention, how the hell are you supposed to campaign in Rye Playland, all the way up here, the head of Rye, and then make it all the way over my left shoulder to the village of Wisconsin? How is that possible? Has anyone ever made that drive at 6 o'clock in the afternoon?
Oof.
It's not possible.
Oof.
It's not possible.
Oof.
Not possible at all. Now, if we bring up New York 1.
Here comes New York 1, folks.
Where am I at here?
You got it?
See, now, normally, if you live down here in Babylon, you've been in 2 this whole time. You've been in 2 this whole time. But what they did was, we can't really zoom into it right now.
No, you can't zoom in.
If you look very down here, they decided to make Lee Zeldin's district a lot bluer by adding places like Kopeg.
I got you. I'm going to try and...
by adding places... Oh, there we go.
I'm bringing it over to you.
By adding places like Kopeg and Bayshore.
I'm making it even bigger.
Cut all this out.
Here you go. You see it?
See that? There
we
we
go.
go.
There you go. Village of Amityville.
We got a little bit of Huntington. We got CI in there. Right over there. See, we see Islandia right there. We are still... You can't... Stop moving.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just going to...
Okay.
I'm going to make this work somehow.
Cool.
But yeah, so what they did was they put Kopeg in here to make it more blue. They put Huntington Station in here to make it more blue. Bayshore and all of CI.
Yeah.
What that does is it takes this whole portion up here, which is Mario Matera's district, which he won by like 400,000 votes in a state senate runoff. It's like a damn Cuban election up there, and makes all of these votes irrelevant. So that the Hamptons, which is very blue because all the people from the city just moved back out there and changed their voter registration after they destroyed New York City.
And they ran
people
out.
like Joy Behar
Right.
and Kelly Ripa.
Chris Cuomo.
Yes. Oh, that's
Fredo.
who. This is where CD1 will be decided. Because down by... We're moving again.
I wanted to move that close to you.
Because Babylon and Bayshore and CI will now negate the entire Mario Matera district right here.
Yep. There you go.
This is the first time we've used this piece of equipment, so we're going to have to get a little bit more cohesive on this one. But this is called gerrymandering. They did it in CD11 as well. Now, as much as we don't like Nicole Miliatakis, she voted for infrastructure, whatever, it's still a Republican seat. What they did was they took the entire Republican portion of Staten Island and they put it in Jerry Nadler's district, virtually removing the power that Republican vote has in Staten Island. They're trying to get Miliatakis' vote out. Now, what they did was CD2, which is this portion right here. That's Andrew Garbarino's district. CD2 was a Republican plus 2 or 3 district. It's now a Republican plus 20 district. So whereas with the old maps, Long Island, we have 4 congressional seats. We would have had 3 Republican and 1 Democrat. By these maps now, it gives the Democrats a 3-to-1 advantage simply by moving these lines around.
Yep.
That's gerrymandering. So anytime you want to hear some liberal talk about how, oh, you guys are suppressing the vote in Georgia. No, what we're doing is we want the voter registrations to be correct. We want the voter rolls to be correct. And we want these maps to be better. We want these maps to be fairer. I mean, what the hell is this? You just cut out a whole... I mean, what the hell is this?
That's ridiculous. Well, they've been coming for Smithtown for years. They've been trying to take Smithtown out of 1 because they wanted 1 and they couldn't win 1 with Smithtown in it. That's the bottom line.
They cut Smithtown in half.
Yes.
So that Smithtown couldn't have as big of a role
influence
in
right.
1 congressional district.
Right.
So if you assume where the hell are we here? So they cut the town of Smithtown right in half.
And the other part of it is in 3. You can see it if we go back to 3 here. If I zoom in,
you can see Smithtown, the village of Wisconsin, right there. It cuts right. I'm going to assume that's probably like Terry Road-ish.
So look,
there.
Point to the top half of Smithtown there, right over here, right. So here it is, Smithtown, right into Nissaquag, all that. That's 3. Now when you go to 1, you see that only this portion of Smithtown, right by your head, right there. Put your hand there because they don't see the arrow. There you go. So then that whole other area of Smithtown up this way is lopped into another district.
Yeah, so what they did was they basically took Smithtown, a solid Republican area, and cut it in half. That's called gerrymandering. It's been going on for years. It's a ridiculous way of doing things. The state legislature votes on it next week. Unfortunately, the Democrats have power in the state legislature right now in both the Senate and the Assembly.
Yep.
So you guys got to reach out. You got to tell your local. This is how politicians pick their own voters.
Yeah, that's how they. This is essentially rigging.
It's essentially rigging the vote.
This is it.
This is how you rig the vote. You don't do it by asking for ID.
No.
You do it by moving the district lines so that people's vote don't matter.
Yep, that's right. That's right. Good stuff. So there we go. We just officially used the green screen for the first time. And that seemed to work out pretty darn well. I like that. Kevin did a great job as their weatherman, and he's been training as the new Vanna White for such a long time. Not as pretty, but I would argue did a very good job. So hopefully that clears up some of the redistricting. I know we wanted to talk about that. A lot of folks wanted to talk about that. News 12 ran a story about it.
Not for nothing, but we probably should have picked a less important topic to try out the new green screen.
I think it worked out okay.
I think it worked out very well.
I think it worked out great.
I think it did too.
I think it did too.
We had to get green screen cohesion here.
Yeah, we just got to
So you're
play
not
with it.
moving while I'm moving.
Right, I was trying to, you were staying and I was moving it around your hand, but then you were moving and we were moving. It takes two to tango. We tangoed.
Yeah, we tangoed, and if we were on Dancing with the Stars, we would have been voted off.
We would have been dancing not with the stars.
Oh, man.
What?
You got to get on Dancing with the Stars.
Why?
I don't know.
I'm not going on Dancing with the Stars. I don't dance.
Why? You're TikTok famous.
Yeah, well, so I don't dance. That doesn't mean I dance.
Neither does half the people on Dancing with the Stars.
Yeah, but Mark Sanchez was on
I don't know
that
if you
show.
saw Adam Carolla on there, but it didn't go very well.
I don't deal with Dancing with the Stars. But that was a good job. On the redistricting, people seem to have liked it a lot.
Good.
And it looks like it cleared it up. Look, it's better coverage you're going to get on than News 12. It's better than you're going to get on CBS or NBC
The
or
bottom
Fox.
line is, if you guys look at that, go back up to 3.
We'll go back to 3. We'll pop 3 back.
1. Yeah,
One or 3?
1.
We'll go to 1, and I'll cut right to the green screen. It'll be right up.
Yeah, so if you guys look, you see where it says Village of Amityville on the bottom left? There's that little cutout right there. What they did was they cut all the South Shore out. Because if you guys know anything about Babylon, the closer you get to Sunrise Highway, the more minority the vote gets.
Right.
You cut out Copeg Harbor, you cut out Amity Harbor. That whole area down by the Village of Amityville is a very high black population. And they did that to negate the votes in Mario Matera's district in the Village of Shoreham, way up top. Mm-hmm. That's how they do it. That's how they're able to do these things.
So there you go. You have a good breakdown of the... Whoops, what happened there? Oh, I think I turned it off. We'll cut right back. There it is. And I was like, where did it go? Hey, functioned. Very good. I'm very happy.
And here's the thing: is each individual candidate has to file their own particular lawsuits. They do that so that I know Nick Langworthy's probably going to file a lawsuit.
He's trying to sue
with the party.
He is. They said
I'm
that
sure
this morning.
Jesse Garcia and Joe Cairo, but everyone will be filing lawsuits. But they do this to screw over newer candidates. So you have a guy like John Liu in Whitestone. He's an entrenched Democrat. He's been there for 1,000 years.
He's going to lose to Stefano Forte.
See, he can afford that sort of lawsuit because
Right.
he's been fundraising for 1,000 years.
Correct.
The new candidate coming up, Stefano Forte, dear friend of ours.
Dear friend.
Once we get the three of us in a room together, we'll do that public endorsement.
Hell yeah.
Steph, I love you.
Love you.
You're gonna be great.
Yes.
You're gonna be fantastic.
Incredible. Actually,
And
when you think about
I think he'll be
Stefano,
the youngest state senator ever.
and he's going to be the most fantastic state senator ever.
And you know what happened when we had
Think about
last time we had a very young state senator? He went on to be governor and then president.
Yes.
Teddy Roosevelt.
Teddy Roosevelt.
So you know what? Steph,
Let's do it.
you never know, bro.
Hey, Steph. President Steph.
President Steph.
Love you, Steph.
Yes, yes. Garbarino will survive redistricting. See, what'll happen is very rarely will they purposefully redistrict someone out. We lost one seat.
Yeah.
So one person will be out who is current, whether it's Republican or Democrat.
We lost a
And-
congressman in general because of the
Yes,
population.
Because of the population
Yes.
distribution.
Yep.
So I'm pretty sure they're going to be trying to get Meliotakis out on Staten Island.
Yep.
Because at that point, that helps out the city vote, which hurts the governor vote.
Yes.
Taking away a seat on Long Island just based on population density doesn't really do that for
Doesn't
them.
really
So
do
they're
it.
going to want to get rid of Meliotakis before they get rid of Andrew Garbarino.
Correct. And here's the final thing we're going to say before we sign off. To everybody who came out yesterday at the Bruce Blakeman press conference, again, incredible numbers. What a feeling seeing Bruce. See that handshake. It was nice, and those of you who like that picture, it was nice. We've seen him. We have a great relationship now with the Nassau County Executive.
All right,
and when you
see,
think about,
hold on, before we go back to that, Lillian in the chat talking about getting out AOC. This is a perfect example of how politicians will pick their own voters. AOC will never lose to a Republican in her district. It's a Democrat plus 30 district. What they do is they include the South Bronx in with Astoria and College Point up there, because there's so much of the South Bronx that it takes away the vote from what would assume to be a more balanced vote in Astoria. So the Republicans in Astoria have no shot at ever winning. That's why AOC will never face a serious. Well, AOC's got to deal with Tina 40 right now.
Yeah, well, that's a serious challenge.
That's a serious challenge.
Yes.
She don't take no crap from
doesn't take no
anybody.
crap.
But she's got an uphill slug.
She does.
She does. But that's why these safe seats. That's why someone like Nancy Pelosi will never lose
ever,
because they have to be beaten in a primary rather than in a general. That's why AOC essentially got elected with like 16,000 votes.
Yeah.
16,000 votes in the Bronx and in northern Queens. That's gerrymandering at its best. They did it. They're doing it with Jerry Nadler's district by putting Staten Island in with his up on the west side of Manhattan to negate the Staten Island vote. And they did it with AOC's district by putting the majority of it in the South Bronx and a little bit in Astoria to take that away.
Taking it right away. Cropping out voters, rigging elections. They tell you that it's the Republicans that are subverting democracy when it's the Democrats who are choosing their own voters and trying to keep themselves entrenched in power. Back to one thing I was going to say, and I want to just give a big thank you to Nassau County, to Bruce Blakeman, who I didn't know was running for county executive until he spoke at our rally June 14th on the back of the pickup truck with Lee Zeldin. Had no idea. So it was nice to kind of meet him then and see where he's gone to now as the very bold, courageous, the most courageous, the boldest county executive in the state of New York. Proud to know him, proud to see him fighting, proud to see him stepping up. I want more county executives to do it. If you're watching on this chat in any area of New York, you need to send your county executive the pictures from the Bruce Blakeman press conference, the pictures from the Back the Bruce rally, the quotes and the support and all the outpouring of love and joy and just positivity surrounding Bruce Blakeman. Get up and stand up and fight. If you're a county executive, a Republican county executive, someplace else in this state, join the fight with us. Usually it's upstate fighting against downstate, liberal, conservative. No, Long Island is a conservative hotbed right now. We are on fire. So if you're upstate, if you're one of those folks in those counties upstate who thinks the downstaters are just a bunch of liberals, you're wrong. We have your back. We want to fight with you. We want to join you. We want you to join us in this fight. Get your county executives on board with what Bruce Blakeman is doing, and we can restore power to the hands of the people in the state of New York. 9:03. Let's get ready to get out of here. LoudMajorityUS.com. LoudMajorityUS.com. Sign up for the newsletter.
Guys. We got a whole bunch of new stuff going. If you're on Facebook, hit that follow button, even if you think you're following. Just double check because you're probably not.
And hit that share button.
Hit that share button. Send this out to all your friends. Put it in all your groups, please.
And apparently something happened at the Bayport Blue Point school board meeting last night. I don't know what that was. If someone can email me or get in touch with us throughout the day, I'd be more than happy to talk about it. So get that information over here.
If you're on
I don't know what
YouTube,
happened.
hit that like button, subscribe, share this video out with your friends. Loud Majority on Instagram, The Loud Majority on Getter. We're all over the damn place. You guys know us on Twitter. If you want to jump on my Twitter, that'll be fine because then you can combat some of the people who are very mean to me.
They're not nice to Kevin on Twitter.
They're not nice to me. But
with that being said, we got 4 words that we say to the people in power over and over and over again until they get it or get the hell out of the way. I want to see the chat do it. They're starting to do it. They're starting to flood it in there. Not complying. Still not now, not ever. Thank you guys so much. America First. Yes, true. That's where we are, the America First Media Campus, where just things are happening around this area. It's insane. But for those of you who don't know the 4 words that we say over and over and over again until the people in power get it or get the hell out of the way, just look at the chat. The chat is blowing up. It's lighting up like a Christmas tree. Folks, the 4 words are, if we do not consent, we will not comply. Thank you. God bless you. God bless America. Stop complying and stay loud.